webinar. My name is Susan Harden with AGS, and I will be your presenter today. Today we're going to be talking about the AGS Prime Good Jobs Challenge Grant case management and reporting system. So let's go ahead and get started. This session is being recorded and will be emailed out afterwards. It will look like an email coming from me, and it will be have a link to a YouTube playlist. It's a shareable link. You'll be able to review it on demand, share it with other colleagues if you want to. Today's session is scheduled for about 35 minutes, I think. It's a very quick fire jog through, not even a walk through, but a jog through of this application and a little background of AGS. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So just a quick picture being worth 1,000 words. Here's some of the logos of some of our customers over the last many years. First of all, congratulations to each of you for your grant award. It's a great accomplishment. It's a great project, and really congratulations on all of that good work. Today's learning goals come directly from the email invite. Excuse me. We're going to spend a few minutes, and I promise just a few minutes, on just a couple of slides, providing a little bit of an overview of who AGS is. We're going to dive into, talk a little bit about the pre-built application as kind of a quick overview. And then we're going to dive into a live presentation of the template itself, and then wrap up with just a quick review and the 1, 2, 3s of implementation. And then we'll have you on your way. Probably be some time for a couple of minutes anyway for some time for questions if need be. And again, the session is being recorded and will be emailed out probably before close of business today, so you'll be able to review it on demand. So if that's what you thought you were going to do today, you are in the right spot. So let's get going. So just a little bit about AGS. And if you're anything like me, you come to these sessions and you definitely don't want to be sitting in, 18,000 pages of presentations. You want to get into the meat of it, so I promise we will. I just have a couple of quick overview slides as a backgrounder. So AGS, stands for actually American Government Services. AGS is just a little easier to say. We are 25 plus years in business here. Many of us have spent time in the industry prior to even coming to AGS, long before my hair was white, but I am prematurely gray. We have lots and lots of experience in this. We support a slew of federal grants and state grants, but a lot of federal grants, usually around U.S. Department of Labor, Department of Commerce for EDA for good jobs grants like this. We supported, a half a dozen or more Good Jobs Challenge Round 1 grantees, have the Good Jobs Challenge Round 2 queued up for all of you. We work with other apprenticeship projects for Department of Energy, Title III grants for the Education Department, and have worked with and do work with hundreds and hundreds of organizations around the country. The common denominator is really around employment and training, education and training types of initiatives. Is kind of the common denominator, but we have extensive experience in federal grant management and compliance. So one of the key things that we have done, is our primary product is called AGS Prime. And Prime itself is a no-code platform as a service, or a PaaS, that's been around for 10 years or more as one of our commercial product offerings. Because we built Prime from scratch, and it's a super powerful no-code platform, and because we are subject matter experts on federal grants, we have taken Prime and built out or configured out a dozen or more what we'll call templates, pre-built compliant templates for this catalog of federal grants. Today we're going to focus on our template for Good Jobs Challenge, in particular round 2. So we have this catalog of turnkey, back up the bus, data collection and reporting templates for federal grants. Again, as I just mentioned, sort of common denominator amongst so many of these projects is participant demographics, grant enrollment, training program enrollment and tracking, outcomes for completions, for certifications, for measurable skills gains, employments, attachments, case notes, all of the kinds of things that are both required for these federal reporting grants, as well as for just good case management, as we are humans helping humans throughout this business process continuum. Baked into all of our grant templates, besides the participant tracking and case management tracking that you would expect and that you need for these grants, we always include what we call an employer management module, or outreach, or CRM component, if you will, for you and your folks to track the employers that you're out working with or calling on, keeping track of employer outreach, all of the kinds of things that we know you're doing now, and you're tracking somehow in some other system, or Excel spreadsheets, through emails, through sticky notes, through clipboards, or whatever the case may be. And we have always felt that having that integrated employer tracking component baked into all of our grant templates just simply makes sense. So you have one centralized case management environment, one centralized CRM, if you want to think about it more broadly, where your partners, your staff users from all of your partner organizations, if you're part of a consortium, which many of these projects really are, of course, that you have one centralized hub where all of the data is residing for you as grant managers to have comprehensive reporting. So, and ease of training where everybody just has one system to go to. So it just makes sense. So we have this employer outreach. We have, of course, reports. That's why a big reason why people come to us, because we help manage both the compliant data entry side with the hundreds of business rules required for some of these federal grants, Good Jobs Challenges included, as well as the output, the reporting requirements that are not trivial, as an understatement, for sure. It's your data. We simply host it. So every field from every form, every data set, as we call them, is available at your fingertips 24/7, available for download, both in canned reports, as you would expect with a commercial product, as well as individual data exports. And of course, key to Good Jobs reporting is you have the required output report as required by Good Jobs Challenge 2, and you're able to track all of this information per training provider and track Good Jobs. That attribute of Good Jobs, which you'll see when we get over to the application, and I'll run that report right away, and you'll see what the output looks like per the spec for GJC 2. So let's go ahead and dive in. Isabel is here from our team monitoring chat. If you have any questions, she'll let me know about that. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and just dive into the demonstration. So let me just toggle over here. You should be seeing my screen. This is my demo domain, demo.agsprime.net. Here's my Good Jobs Challenge 2 application. Quick sidebar on implementation. All of our customers are hosted on Amazon Web Services or AWS. All of our customers have their own dedicated virtualized web server, meaning that everybody is completely hardwalled. So your project, if you will, that consolidated database, your domain, is completely segregated by an IP address in your own server in AWS from all the rest of our customers. So there's no monolithic, big ass database, so to speak, where all of the data resides, and you only see your data because of your login credentials. That's not the way we do it. That we've never done that. We have been vetted for PII literally hundreds of times, successfully, of course, in support of what is required for federal grants. So I'm in my demo domain. So each of you would have your own, domain. I am demo.agsprime.net, and I see my system. This is what all of our Good Jobs Challenge customers' sites looks like. And for GJC2, it will look like this and behave like this, where we see this welcome screen. You'll have your own logo or set of logos here should you want to have more than one logo for part of your project. You'll have your own text here. This is just what I have for my demo site. But beyond that, the structure, if I can use that term, the menu across the top and what you're going to see in the application is very much part of this pre-built template that has the fields, the business rules, and the reports baked into it already into the architecture to support accuracy and compliance for this application. So we see our participant management module where your participant data and potential participant data is going to reside. This is a case folder structure. So when I open this up, I see my participants' electronic case folder with a series of different electronic pieces of paper in the electronic case folder. I'll come back to this in a bit more detail in a minute. We see our employer case management, this employer CRM for employer outreach, where we have this employer case management folder for employer demographics, contacts, activities, participant services, fulfillments for jobs, open opportunities, employer investments and attachments, the kind of things that are both needed for this grant, for reporting, and for good case management. We have a self-registration module. I have a separate tab for that, just makes it a little easier for demo purposes, where again you're going to have your own logo and welcome text here. Here is the demographics page that you can deploy for your potential participants, for them to be able to fill in this information, sort of initial demographic, initial registration information up front. Should you want to, most of our customers do deploy self-reg to kind of offload some of this initial information to the potential participants. There's some latitude here for the information that you can collect, because not all of this demographic information is really required by Good Jobs Challenge. Because of our years and years of experience and best practices, we have a pretty good idea of the kinds of data that participants generally want to be able to collect for your own internal analytics, as well as the kind of information that we know that sometimes even feds don't ask for in compliance reports, but when they come in for audits and monitoring, do want to dig a little deeper on some additional analytics. So we have brought to bear for Good Jobs Challenge some of our own recommendations and best practices, but you do have some latitude here on the demographics side to add some additional fields, remove some additional fields, but we will always guide you through that so you don't get yourself configured out of compliance. That's our job. We keep you in compliance. But that's self-registration. There's an administrative module. I train because I'm part of that subject matter expertise team here at AGS around federal grants. I do all of the application administration training, so you're stuck with me, but I will guide you through all of the configuration control that we give you for what we call catalogs to do a little configuration, some buffing for the application specific to your project. All of our customers have, different industries, different training programs, different providers, obviously, some different sectoral partners. So all of that is really under your control for kind of setting up your database within the confines of a compliant architecture. So I'll take you through that training, and that's what the admin module is for. And then, of course, the reports module. So here's very much what our application looks like. We've got our Good Jobs Challenge semi-annual report. This populates the workbook for the selected reporting period. We provide you with a code book. We'll come back to this in just a second and run this. We provide you with a couple dozen pre-built queries, essentially data exports from every field, from every form, for all of the data sets that are here for your own analytics. So yes, we provide you some great stuff, but we know you all have your own vision for reporting, your own analytics, get under the hood in Prime in the domain to build your own additional dashboards or export data out to Excel or to your own local favorite reporting tool, if that's Tableau or Crystal Reports or SPSS or R or whatever your economic development organization prefers. Get the data out and use your favorite local tool where you've already got talent and investment. So exporting of data is super cool. We always provide just a couple of starter dashboard reports to give you to kind of wet your whistle about what you can do with Prime. But some of these reports are just super handy. Again, bringing to bear our years of experience, we have a reasonably good idea of sort of across the board the kind of information our customers really want to see. Really, all of our customers use these dashboards, these starter dashboards, if you will, as augment reports to their quarterly or semi-annual reporting to their federal grants. Even though this is not detailed information that feds are even looking for, but it really helps you tell your story to the feds. Helps you tell your story if you include these reports to other potential funders. Helps you tell your story of success internally to your own board, excuse me, et cetera, et cetera. And the parameters are baked right into these reports. So again, just some starter reports. Let's go back to our GJC semi-annual report. I'm going to run this report. This is exactly what it looks like. So, excuse me. We have two sets of parameters. The first start and end date are going to be focused around your training. They're going to find all the training starts, training completions, and employments that are on or after that date. So for grins and giggles, in my demo system, I'm going to go back to 2022, my Q1 start date, and I'm going to go all the way to 2026 Q1 just to get all the data from my system. The second parameters say to only include the records where the training starts and training completion and the employments are on or before the end of that quarter. So we give you that ability to report, per quarter should you want to, as well as to satisfy what we have heard is going to be semi-annual, but some of the language in the report still use the word quarter. So we will modify this report once EDA settles on what they really want this report to look like. And we'll keep your system up to date for you, depending on what they ultimately decide. So I'm going to go ahead and run this report. It's going to pop out an Excel spreadsheet. I've got a couple of monitors here. I'm going to drag this over, make this a little bigger, so it's easier to see. And this is the report that Good Jobs Challenge 2 is looking for. Pretty dramatic difference from Good Jobs Challenge 1. And as I said, I think there's still some buffing and polishing to be done from EDA's perspective as to exactly what they want this output to be. But this is the current public communications. So we're going to be able to track per training provider, per training program, length of program, less than 3 months or greater than that, the environment, type of training, tuition costs, scrolling over, the type of credential attained. So hopefully you're familiar with what the output that they're asking for. And you can see that we have this here for institutional information, admissions information. Again, they have expressed that they're looking for this to be a semi-annual report, but they still have some language like in cell G where they are using the word quarter. So we are still providing this report to you with your ability to select it per quarter. If you put parameters in for a 6-month period, guess what? You'd have a semi-annual report. But we want to make sure that we're providing the easiest way for you to produce this report for them as an output that then you can provide to them. And this is exactly what we did for Good Jobs Challenge 1, where we produced the output that was required by EDA in the exact format with all the different tabs that Good Jobs Challenge 1 had. So our customers would be able to easily provide that to EDA without any duplicate data entry. So this is the output as is currently spec'd by EDA. We will keep this up to date for you if and when they make changes for the output. So that's kind of a quickie on reports, queries, just to give you a sense of what that looks like. It's super simple. I click the download. It gives me a data dump literally as a CSV file to be able to export all of the data from my system with headers for your own analytics. And I have 4 participants in my system. So every field from the participant profile form in this particular export is downloaded to my desktop or wherever I tell my downloads to go. And I now have this data to play with in Excel, or because it creates an open API to be able to be accessed by your favorite third-party reporting tool. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the input side so you can get a sense of what the data going in looks like in a little bit more detail. I'll pick on Buddy Holly. We're going to open up his case folder. So if participant data comes in from self-reg, it's going to sit over here in a view. I'll go back to participant called not yet reviewed participants. I don't think I have anybody here, but all that self-reg data can come in from all of your partner organizations if you have partners, and it will be available for review as a workflow, so that your reviewed participants pool, of which you will end up with hundreds or thousands depending upon your project, is not muddied with participants who have put in Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, or that you don't want to have move down the path of program enrollment. They can just stay here. So we'll open up Buddy. He's an existing customer. He's got his profile filled out with information that's organized according to this grant. So he's got his desired training provider here. Depending upon which training provider or which training program he had selected from self-reg, it's going to auto-fill, going to auto-require the desired training provider because those things are related. and then the approved training provider is actually different in this particular case because that's just how it worked when we reviewed this with this participant. So if I select training provider A, we've got values associated with the training program to training provider A. Training provider B has different training programs, and that is all configured in the admin module by you as the administrator that I train you how to do with no coding whatsoever. But that ensures that the data going into the system is accurate and managed appropriately, and then the output is accurate and appropriate based on how you have set up your project. Keeping track of these demographic information, again, some of which you may not care about for your own purposes. We have business rules baked into some logic rules that say if this person is employed, they cannot also be long-term unemployed. That would just make no sense. Save button is now no longer live. Again, we can add more business rules into the system if need be. So if I say I'm unemployed, I can be long-term unemployed, but I cannot also be underemployed. That will also cause just a plain logic error as we go through, good data entry for your purposes for telling your story of valid data. So we go through this process of demographic information. We're going to keep track of the training program or programs this person is going to be enrolled in. We're keeping track of start date, expected completion date, completion dates, apprenticeship values, if that's something that you want to be able to keep track of. We obviously are hearing from this administration that apprenticeships are important. So we have retained this field for this project, as with most of our projects, frankly, to position our grant customers to be able to be compliant in telling that story should the feds across the board start looking for apprenticeship information in a way that maybe we haven't in earlier rounds of these projects. When we say we have successfully completed and there's a completion date, we now have to fill out some other information. If I say I did not successfully complete, I've got some conditionally required fields, again, just business logic baked into the application to support not only logic, but requirements for this grants reporting, okay? And the save button is not live until I have my required fields filled in. Again, to have computers do it. Computers are really good at to take the technology off your critical path and let you focus on what we think is the hard part. Recruiting participants, keeping participants engaged in the process until ultimately, I'll just skip out of that, until ultimately they have completed the program, they've received their credentials, they've received services, and they have achieved employment. Okay, that is what we think is the hard part. We're going to give you infrastructure in order to document all of this information. And on the employment form, we have baked into this on-form help and guidance in order to help with data entry through this complex program. So, for example, is this a good job? Yes or no. We're going to see the help text for more information. This comes directly from EDA. We did not make this up. If we select employment type of full-time or part-time or seasonal, earn and learn is not required, right? But if I say earn and learn, now this field is conditionally required. Again, just baked into the entire application business logic so that the data entry is accurate per EDA standards and reporting requirements and for your consistent analytics. So the credential information, thank you, is stitched together, associated with the participant, the training program that the credential is associated with, the type of credential. So you really can run reports that answer questions such as, for this participant who came in the door, and what door did they come in? What partner? What training program did they go through, and with which training provider? What did they look like, so to speak, their profile? Did they complete the training program? And if they did, what credential or credentials did they get? What kind of a job did they get? What kind of a wage did they get? Was it a good job? What services and costs of those services did it take in order to move this person from point A to point B and B to C and ultimately out the door, right? And how much time did that take? For you to be able to ultimately look back at this data every 6 months, right, every year, every couple of years, or at the end of the project, and say, okay, let's look at the longitudinal analysis over this whole process, and what worked, what didn't work, what do we want to do again differently or better or less of or more of, etc., etc. So everything is completely stitched together to give you that kind of long-term perspective to look back and to do predictions, as well as being compliant for what EDA is looking for, and giving you a lot of additional data for your own analytics. In addition to that kind of thing, we also include things like services with the cost for the services. Here's where that cost is coming from. This is a keyword completely under your control. Was this service funded or partnered with another organization? If so, what training, who sponsored it? Keeping track of case notes, keeping track of participant attachments, which you can also keep track of attachments on the employer side as well. Really gives you a lot of control and flexibility. And I will tell you, over the years of working with organizations, it is not uncommon for monitors and auditors and field projects officers, FPOs, to ask questions of the data in ways that are far and beyond, as you are all experienced with this as well, beyond just the compliance reporting. So we try to give you more information for a case management environment as you may be looking for and are accustomed to. So that's really a way to kind of produce sort of an overview of the application, both from the overall structure, some of the reporting that you can get out of the system, what the input side looks like as kind of a quickie walkthrough. In my final minute, I'm going to jump back to my application, do a quick recap. I'm not going to read these bullets to you, but I feel like, and we hear from our customers, that we do have a pretty strong value proposition to bring to your table. Keeping your system compliant, backing up the bus with a turnkey system that's quickly deployable. We keep your system up to date, and we provide unlimited and unmetered administrative technical support throughout the life of your subscription with us. So we really pride ourselves. We know you have options, and pride ourselves on being good stewards of your time and your tax dollars, so to speak. Implementation. Some of you are familiar with this. It's pretty straightforward. We like it that way. Hopefully you like it that way as well. We have a one-page subscription agreement that once that's signed and everybody's signed, you signed it, we've signed it, everybody agrees to it, we will then deploy your site. As I mentioned, if you have your own domain, we'll deploy your domain, get your Good Jobs Challenge application added to it. Then step 2, which will happen at almost the same time, schedule your application admin training with me. I like admin training to be, anywhere from 2 to 4 on average, 90-minute sessions. Your first session will be a review and then some homework. There's the 1, 2, 3s of homework that I will give you. You'll go off and do your homework. We'll come back a few days later, maybe a week later, depending on schedules. Review your homework, review questions that come out of your homework. Lots of times business process questions bubble up through that process. And we'll go through a couple of other sessions as need be. I'll help you with your first end user training session to help make sure that your end users get trained, where you're in front of the room saying, this is the policy, and I'm right next to you saying, and here's how you use the application for the 1, 2, 3s of data entry. And then you're ready to go live. We'll talk through deployment, best practices. We've got lots of experience with that as well. And you're ready to go live. That's really it, I promise. I've seen customers do this in a couple of weeks, really aggressive. I've seen customers take much longer, 2 months. That's really up to you. Our part of the bargain is very fast. So we will support you throughout your process as is needed. Here's my information. If you have any questions, feel free to chat them in now. If not, send me an email. I'm always happy to get together with you, and we'll go from there. Thank you again very much for your time. Congrats on your app, on your grant. I hope to hear from you soon, and we'd love to work with you. So thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful day. Best of everything to you. Bye-bye.